On page 8 of his book, Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker says, "Sleep is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body health." And later in the book, he goes on to say, "Sleep makes you live longer, it enhances your memory and makes you more creative. It makes you look more attractive, it keeps you slim and lowers food cravings. It protects you from cancer and dementia. It wards off colds and flu. It lowers your risk of heart attacks, strokes and diabetes. You'll feel happier, less depressed and less anxious." So I think it's safe to say sleep is quite important. So in this video we're going to learn about what sleep is, what it does and how to improve it. So what happens when you sleep? There are two stages of sleep. You've got non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement. Non-rapid eye movement sleep is crucial for physical restoration, including the repair and regeneration of tissues, muscles and bones. Non-REM sleep also supports immune function, memory consolidation, brain detoxification, and the regulation of metabolic functions such as glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Growth hormone is also released, contributing to muscle development and repair. In the brain, unnecessary neural connections are weeded out and removed. REM sleep is characterized by rapid eye movements, vivid dreaming, and heightened brain activity. It facilitates emotional processing, memory consolidation, and problem solving through intense brain engagement. REM sleep is crucial for transferring information from short-term to long-term memory, promoting cognitive function and learning. It regulates mood, recalibrates and fine-tunes the emotional circuits of the brain, helping us to read social situations and facial expressions better. REM sleep strengthens the remaining neural connections. So non-REM sleep removes unnecessary neural connections, and then REM sleep wires up the ones that are left so they're more interconnected, and that's where creativity comes from. Novel ideas come from connecting dots, essentially. So there are 3 stages of wakefulness. You've got stage 1, which is you're awake. So the wake state is characterized by reception, experience and learning the world around you. Stuff happens. So when you're awake, stuff happens to you. You're seeing situations and you're seeing events unfold. So that's information coming in, you're receiving information. Non-REM sleep is reflection, storing these new facts and skills and discarding what isn't useful. So in non-REM, you've taken the information of the day. So during the day when you're awake, you receive the information. During non-REM sleep, it's basically storing those memories. So because if every day you didn't remember what happened yesterday, you would never learn anything in life. You'd make the same mistakes. So wakefulness is taking in the information. Non-REM is getting rid of anything that isn't necessary. So certain things you'll do every single day and it's just repetitive and you don't need to restore that information. So it discards those neural connections and then stores what is valuable. But there's no new information, it's just kind of stored as it is. So it's taken your experience and stored it. And in the process of doing that, you're forgetting unnecessary things. And then REM sleep is integration. Interconnecting those new ingredients with each other and all of your past experience, building a more accurate model of how the world works, including innovative insights and problem solving. So when you're awake, you take in information. Non-REM sleep stores that information, and then REM sleep connects it to all of the previous information you've had in the past, and it makes connections that are new. That's where creativity comes from. So, and that's kind of why your dreams are really crazy, I think, because it's creating new novel ideas. Like in this world, your experience during the day, gravity always pulls you down, so you can't fly around. In your dream, you might be flying around because your brain is trying to make new novel ideas related to your experience, your stored information, and then the new information. So if you think about this, if you get inadequate sleep, and I'm going to link this to depression, if you get inadequate sleep, you're just doing phase 1, which is wakefulness. So you're taking in a bunch of information, you're experiencing life, and it's just information coming in, right? Well, if you do that forever, that's essentially just a bunch of problems, because there are a lot of problems in life. And you haven't had any sleep to store them, so they're in your mind. So you've got a really busy, anxious mind, kind of like what ADHD would be like. You've got all this noise in your head, none of it's stored, and there's no problem solving or creativity because you haven't had non-REM or REM sleep. So this is always my first recommendation. If I'm talking to someone that's depressed, I always say you need to prioritise sleep, because during the wake state, life is just coming at you with a load of problems. And that might not be the case. You might have a really joyous, peaceful life, but for the most part, life is quite stressful. So you've got the reception phase, you're receiving stress. Without non-REM and REM sleep, you've just got a bunch of problems endlessly. So when you sleep, it stores away information, so it's not in your head, it's not in short-term memory, which would kind of be loud. It's a noisiness in your mind. And then the REM sleep makes connections. Well, the non-REM sleep discards things that you don't need, so that's like a forgetting of all the bad trauma, and it will learn from it. So you've got to get sleep. If you're depressed, anxious, or ADHD, sleep will help. And that's why you forget the problems, store away information, and make new connections so you can actually solve the problems. And then each day you come back renewed. And we know this instinctively with children. If they're running around being little knobheads and they're irritating you, or they're just being irritating in general, you know that you often say, oh, you're tired, you need to sleep. But we don't do that with adults, and we don't do it with ourselves. And that's because we can't recognise when we're sleep deprived. And Matthew Walker says this in the book. He says, you don't know when you lack sleep, you just kind of adapt to it. So if you ask anyone, how's your sleep, they normally just say, yeah, it's fine, even if they're sleeping 5 hours a day. He also says this as well, and he says this is one of the main takeaways of the book, and it always makes me laugh when authors do this. It's like 2 lines right in the middle of the book that you could completely miss. He says you can't sleep back what's previously lost, so you can't make up for previous sleep deprivation. And you can't anticipate sleep deprivation in the future and like store up sleep, so you can't do 12 hours a night for a week in anticipation of not getting good sleep in the future. And I'm guessing it's just because your brain requires this renewal and rejuvenation each night. So you can't, say you work nights for a year and your sleep was wrecked, you can't now sleep 16 hours a day to make up for it. And you can't anticipate that in 2 months' time you start your night job, so you're gonna store up sleep essentially. So the lesson is, the takeaway is, you've got to get good sleep each night, and you've got to set your life up in a way that you can do that. Right, now I'm just going to briefly talk about sleep loss and its effect on metabolism and weight gain, because I think a lot of us are interested in losing weight and building a lean physique. So ghrelin and leptin are 2 hormones involved in regulating appetite and energy balance in the body. Ghrelin is often referred to as the hunger hormone, and leptin is known as the satiety hormone. Inadequate sleep increases ghrelin and decreases leptin, so even if you're full, you still feel like you want to eat, leading to overeating and weight gain. So not getting enough sleep creates a hormonal reason why you would gain weight. That's got nothing to do with willpower or the diet you're on, that's purely just sleep. And then I'll mention testosterone because I think that's important to most of us guys as well. In the book he says bad sleep is related to smaller testicles, just in general. I thought that was quite funny. 30% less sperm count and more deformed sperm and lower testosterone. So if testosterone's important, sleep, you're going to want to prioritise it. So basically every function in the body is affected by lack of sleep and is improved by getting better sleep. So this is definitely going to be something you want to implement. So how to improve sleep, and it's just worth mentioning here, and I'd already thought of this before I read this book, but he mentions it in this book. Modern life is absolutely terrible for sleep. None of it makes any sense. We've completely built a society and a system of operating that I mean, it wrecks pretty much every function. It's not good for the diet we eat is the worst possible diet you could have created. The Western diet creates disease and obesity. It's just ridiculous. Sleep is the same. And some of the reasons why sleep is so bad in our modern society is temperature controlled everything. You can get in your car and make it the right temperature, in your house the right temperature, because we have circadian rhythms, and that's the main circadian rhythm is sun up to sun down. So it's the sun revolving around the earth, so it's light in our eyes and even through our eyelids tells the body what time it is. The circadian rhythm is the internal clock, and temperature is also one that does that. So when you're completely temperature controlled and you're never exposed to varying heats that would have varied throughout the day, that's a problem. And then I've mentioned the light. We've got everything's lit up 24/7. You've got the blue light from your phone that's constantly tricking your body into thinking the sun's up. Even at night you can have the light in your eyes. And then you've got schedules for work and school, and they just don't line up with what's healthy. So you start work too early or too late, or you've got, even just like McDonald's, right? Even if you're a McDonald's worker, you might be on the night shift and you're completely wrecking your sleep to serve people. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Do you need McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning? And is it worth wrecking that worker's sleep? To me, I just think you don't need certain things open at 1 o'clock in the morning. The only reason you would need that is for like emergency workers. And then you've got caffeine, which is affecting people's sleep, alcohol, nicotine, and things like that. And I just want to go on a little bit of a rant here, because this is something that I've thought about a lot, is why are very important professions, why is their sleep not prioritised? So I'll deliver to the hospital and I'll see workers, like hospital workers, I'm pretty sure they do really long 12-hour shifts, and these are like trainee doctors. So you've got trainee doctors doing long shifts, and sleep is required for learning and processing information. So you've got a trainee doctor, you're teaching them to do one of the most important jobs, which is make decisions that will affect the outcome of their lives, and you're sleep depriving them. And I just think, why set up the teaching process in that way? Why not just allow more time and prioritise sleep? So considering it's a medical profession and sleep improves every aspect of health, you think they would go, well, all of our doctors should be getting 9 hours of sleep a night and we should be allocating that. But that's not the case. Junior doctors are like worked off their feet, which doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, so that's just society is set up in a weird way, and if you want to prioritise and improve sleep, you're going to have to go against that and make certain changes. Another example was a policeman. So if sleep helps you recognise facial expressions, as a policeman you're going to want good sleep, because when you're in situations that are potentially life-threatening, where somebody is angry or emotional, if you've had bad sleep and you can't read their facial expressions, that's going to affect the outcome of how that interaction goes. So yeah, just some few things to consider. So how much sleep do you need? In the book he recommends 16 hours awake, 8 hours of sleep. So between 7 and 9 hours. And the optimal temperature for your room when you're asleep is 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18.3 degrees Celsius. And that seems quite cold, but the coldness is part of the circadian rhythm that will help you fall asleep. So cold is a signal to the body in the same way that darkness is to initiate sleep. So cold and dark, your brain's thinking sleep. One point to mention is, he says sleeping pills are bad. They produce sleep, but a poor quality sleep. And it's like alcohol. Alcohol, like a nightcap, will help you sleep, but it's a poor quality sleep. So, How do you fix your sleep? Number 1. Stick to a sleep schedule, same time each day, even on weekends. Focus on sleep opportunity, not time asleep. So, you need the same bedtime, same wake up time every day, including weekends. And this is to calibrate your circadian rhythm. And you want to focus on sleep opportunity, not time asleep. And this was a big one for me because I always used to struggle with sleep. But I've got a tip that will help if this is the case for you. I always used to struggle to fall asleep. So I'd set my bedtime, go to bed, and it would agitate me and I'd be pissed that I couldn't fall asleep. And I'm just there like feeling like this is annoying. And one of the rules in the book is don't lie in bed not asleep, but I would recommend not listening to that. And I'll tell you why. But so sleep opportunity just means, are you in bed at the right time? So even if you don't fall asleep, you're giving your body the opportunity to sleep. So say you set your bedtime for 9 p.m. You're going to go to bed at 9. Even if you don't fall asleep for 3 hours, purely laying in bed and doing something that I tell you to do in a minute is going to have a relaxing, rejuvenating effect on the body, rather than scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and like firing dopamine off in your brain. So just giving your body the opportunity to sleep is better. So don't feel guilty for laying in bed awake. But after a while, you will just start falling asleep at the right time. Number 2 is exercise during the day. So if you exert yourself during the day, you're increasing sleep pressure and like the appetite for sleep. So that just makes sense. So you want to get some exercise, and you should be doing that anyway. Number 3, avoid caffeine and nicotine. Now you can avoid it after midday, but I would avoid it just in general. So you want to avoid large meals and drinking before bed, and you want to leave it about 4 hours before you go to sleep so you're not waking up during the night. Don't nap after 3 p.m. if at all. I find if I nap at all during the day, my sleep's wrecked, so don't nap. Relax and unwind before bed. So if you do only one thing to improve your sleep, make it this one. And this has had a dramatic effect on my sleep. So you can choose to do whatever you want. You could read a book or whatever you find relaxing, do a meditation. But I find for half an hour before bed, and it was my friend that recommended this to me, half an hour before bed, your goal is to just have no thoughts. So normally you'll lay down in bed, you've set your bedtime, you've given your body sleep opportunity, then you lay down and just ruminate on loads of things. You'll think about what's happened during the day, you'll worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, planning events, and you're in your mind and you're thinking thoughts. For half an hour, the half an hour before you fall asleep, ideally you want to start doing this before you get in bed, but you're laying in bed, have no thoughts, right? And you'll get thoughts come in, but just don't entertain them, don't latch onto them, just let them come and go. And when you normally lay in bed and think thoughts, you feel like it's productive, right? But I realised for that half an hour before you fall asleep, what are you actually going to achieve? None of those thoughts you actually act on. They've never served you. You've probably done it for the last 5 years. You think loads of thoughts before you go to bed. But it's not like you're laying in bed, you have a thought of, oh, my car tax is due, and then you get out of bed and tax your car. You do it the next day anyway. So these thoughts never actually serve you. That nothing you think about in the 30 minutes before bed is actually going to make a difference to your life. It's not, you've never sat there and gone, oh, I need to do this thing. Or you're thinking about meal prepping. You never get out of bed and then meal prep and then you're like, oh, that was worthwhile me thinking about that because it solved my problem. No, you do it the next day anyway. So one thing you can use to help you with this is put a notepad by your bed, and when you get the thought of I need to tax my car, write it on the notes. When you get the thought of I need to meal prep tomorrow and I'll probably do chicken, write that on the notes, and then it's out of your head, because then you've actually acted on it. It was worthwhile, because when you wake up in the morning you've got those notes and it's beneficial. but no thoughts you've had in the 30 minutes before bed have ever improved your life. They've just kept you awake. And an active mind before bed is going to wreck your sleep. So that would be my number one thing. Set your bedtime, and for the half an hour before you get in bed and the half an hour once you're in bed, have no thoughts. Take a hot bath or a cold shower before you go to bed. Now this was in the book, he says a hot bath. And he says the reason you do a hot bath is not to warm you up, but actually to cool you down. And he said when you have a hot bath, you've obviously got water on your skin. And when you get out, you know when you sweat, heat, the water evaporates off your skin and it takes heat with it, so it cools you down. And he essentially said that the hot bath is going to cool you down before bed. Now I've tried the hot bath and it just made me hot, but I will have a cold shower, and I think he recommends don't do this, but in my experience the cold shower works a lot better. And I sleep great after, sometimes I'll do a sea swim and then I'm cold, or a cold shower, and I sleep great after a cold shower. But it's just because your body temperature being low will help initiate sleep quicker. Next one is have a dark room and avoid screens before bed. So like we said, sunlight helps calibrate the circadian rhythm, so you're not going to want to be using your screen before bed, or if you are, you want to have a blue light filter on it so you're not getting blue light in your eyes. Dim your room, and I like to light a candle instead of the light in my room, because candle light isn't going to affect the circadian rhythm. And then the final point is get sunlight exposure during the day, natural sunlight, and that will calibrate your circadian rhythm, and it just tells your body what time of day it is, so it will know when it should go to sleep. And looking through a window doesn't work. Just the amount of light you're losing through the window. So you might think, oh, it's really bright in my room, but you can do this with a light meter, and it's drastically brighter outside. So physically just going out into your garden or outside is going to make a huge difference. So yeah, sleep's important. It basically improves every aspect of health. So you're going to want to stick to a sleep schedule, have no thoughts before bed, and get sunlight during the day. That would be my main ones. Oh, and get 8 hours of sleep a day. So yeah, hope that helps. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.